The snow has fallen, so it's the perfect time to talk about motorcycles. No? Why not? Nobody rides motorcycles in winter. Depends on who you ask. At the special purpose garage, they definitely do. The Honor Escort is called Honor for a reason. Their duties include accompanying the country's top officials and high-ranking guests. And what the weather is like outside doesn't matter at all. What matters is that, first of all, the Escort looks impressive, and secondly, it provides extra security. How did it all start in the USSR? It started when Nikita Sergeyevich Khrushchev was accompanied by motorcyclists in Yugoslavia. Nikita Sergeyevich liked it. But let's be honest, black motorcycles, they look great. No, maybe even a bit too ceremonial. And whatever the General Secretary likes must be implemented. That's as certain as the Lord's Prayer. On January 25, 1956, a separate motorcycle platoon was created as part of the Special Purpose Regiment under the Commandant's office of the Moscow Kremlin. It became part of the 10th Directorate of the KGB of the USSR. Initially, all the motorcycles were standard production models, just assembled by hand. But standard production models didn't always match the ceremonial nature of the occasion. By the way, all the Escort motorcycles came from Kiev. So, the creation of a new motorcycle became a separate project and a matter of honor for KMZ. It wasn't immediately clear that the government needed more than just improved civilian models, but eventually that understanding came. The first independent project was the Escort 73, work on which began in the late 1960s. Our logical continuation was the Escort 78. The number in the name refers to the year the project was completed. But the development of the motorcycle actually started in the 1970s. Naturally, at the core of this vehicle was the Dnepr motorcycle. That's why it was called the Dnepr 14.9. By the way, the project was only completed in 1979, and it entered service in the Honorary Escort in 1980. Well, they were just a little bit late. By the way, the Dnepr family traces its history back to the K-650 model, which appeared in 1968. But the foundation is just that, a foundation, so to speak, a logical evolution of the Soviet heavy motorcycle. Not a small one. Overall dimensions: length 2,410 millimeters, width with sidecar 1,730 millimeters, height to the visor 1,600 millimeters. But the first prototype presented was not liked by the comrades from the KGB. They had to refine it and introduce innovations. And they did. No matter what new things you come up with, a motorcycle is still a motorcycle. These are some innovations inserted into the good old frame. Although calling it an old frame isn't quite accurate here. It's a duplex frame, but I'm repeating myself. The rear suspension is a swing arm, and it really is a suspension. It's a lever type with dual-action spring hydraulic shock absorbers. However, instead of rubber bushings, it now uses bearings. The front fork is also improved. It's a kingpinless type with a hydraulic steering damper. It was developed specifically for the Escort 78 outside of the motorcycle industry. Everything is the same as the old model, but, well, for example, the mudguards have additional steel. Flaps, and most importantly, it's a single-seater. Don't pay attention to the sidecar, we'll talk about it a bit later. This isn't quite the usual Dnepr engine, which makes sense. They based it on the sports engine from the 750 SK01 motocross bikes and improved it a bit. Still, the numbers remain the same. Displacement is 746 cubic centimeters. Cylinder diameter is 78 millimeters, same as the piston stroke. The maximum torque is 58 Newton meters at 5,500 RPM. Power is 50 horsepower at 6,500 RPM, according to the specs. But in reality, it's 10 horsepower more here. The engineers tricked the KGB. Why? Just in case. The clients wanted 50. Any less wasn't allowed. It was dangerous. So they played it safe. I get where they're coming from. And there's also an imported Bing carburetor installed here. That was also a client requirement. The motorcycle had to start up without any issues even at minus 40 degrees. Because of this requirement, they abandoned electronic ignition but installed a more powerful 12 MTS 32 battery with a capacity of 32 amp hours. The casing was made for it at KMZ, and the internals were produced in the city of Podolsk. Interestingly, it also has shielded wires from ZIL 114S and its own E785 spark plugs. I also read somewhere that the total weight of all the electronics here is over 20 kilograms. But that's not certain. What is certain, though, is the weight of the motorcycle with the sidecar. The curb weight is 395 kilograms. The sidecar isn't originally from it, it's much older from its predecessor. After the motorcycle was decommissioned at Dnepr EES, the sidecars were transferred to KMZ, where they were repainted and structurally adapted to the new model. The sidecar, that's what I've gotten used to calling it. Not to give a friend a ride, but specifically to provide stability for the motorcycle in winter. Inside here there's a 25 kilogram plate bolted in. Here it is. I forgot to mention another feature that I find interesting. The drive shaft is installed in reverse. The universal joint is positioned at the gearbox in the plane of the rear wheel swing arm. And the flexible coupling with 6 rubber elements, which works under compression, is located near the final drive. But all of this pales in comparison to the starter. That was also a special order from the KGB. But all the rituals and the process of bringing the motorcycle to life have remained the same. By the way, here is a small box for all sorts of necessary things. So we turn on the main power. Now, about the 2 panniers. Well, I won't show you what's inside here. This is where the secret equipment is located. And this little box here. Here, the relays and wiring are neatly arranged. So, basically, it's just for show. I mean, the antenna here is just decorative. You could say it's for the overall look and aesthetic of the motorcycle. All right, let's open the fuel taps. There are 2 of them. 1. 2. Choke levers. 2. And Vera to the bourgeois ignition. No, like this, I think. Overall, this Dnepr is pretty lively by today's standards. Take my word for it. I won't be experimenting or testing it, for reasons you can probably understand. All the figures are taken from secret archives that are actually publicly available.
With the sidecar, with the side trailer, it accelerates to 113.5 seconds. Without it, it does it in 8.9 seconds. By the way, the front fender does a great job of shielding my body. From the constant wind, they don't jingle. No, it's the deer crossing the road. They don't realize they're stopping. It's hard to do that on this.
For the Escort motorcycle, they even made their own shiny rims and tires produced by the Leningrad Red Triangle plant. The front one, 3.5 by 18, L232. The rear one, 4 by 18, L232. And even the brakes here press 2 pads onto the drum at the same time. By the way, there were also special winter tires that could be studded.
You have to be more careful, really. Do you know how many of these motorcycles there were in total? 2 batches of 25 units each. Our second fleet, 1984. I think not all of them survived the 90s. Ours was lucky, it's a museum piece. but the DNA lives on in the museum and the special purpose garage. I, Lenin, live here.
The Dnepr 14.9, in my opinion, is a bit too lively for a heavy motorcycle. And the secret isn't just in the more powerful hand-assembled engine, where the Kiev motorcycle plant was responsible to the party for every single part. It's also, let's say, in a different final drive. Here it's a high-speed one, with a gear ratio of 3.89, instead of the standard 4.62.
The Dnepr is practically begging to be drag raced. The throttle is very smooth with a nice bolt, and it's responsive. Maybe even with this sidecar attachment it could accelerate to 100. But I can't do it. My fingers aren't Oleg's anymore.
The Dnepr 14.9 turned out to be a very modern and reliable motorcycle for its time. Isn't that something? During testing, the motorcycles covered 10,000 kilometers without any serious breakdowns. But like all military models, it was retired at the peak of its strength in 1989, giving way to a more modern counterpart.
It's the little things, it's precisely from quality little things that a perfect mechanism is built. And of course, the personal responsibility of each person to the motherland, to the party, to their conscience. The hunt continues, comrades.